How's that? Oh, okay, yeah, you know what? It kind of helps if I put in a microphone. Just saying. Okay, so that's probably going to be a little bit better. Learning as we go. Great. This is my first ever live on this channel, I should say, actually. So, hi, welcome. Thank you for joining me if you've come here. I'm going to talk about Bill C-7. If you don't know what that is, it's an amendment to... Gotta take that out. It's an amendment to the Medical Assistance in Dying Act that is already out in Canada. There are quite a few things that are stipulated in the Act that they are trying to amend at this point. I don't know what the total outcome has been of this. So far, it looks like it's a go. And many people are quite upset about that, rightfully so. Let's just see if I can get the House Government. So this is the Parliament of Canada here. Here's the House Government bill that's been into its second and I believe their third reading already. Which means that the bill in February 17th was passed by the Senate with amendments at the third reading here. So, let me just try and find what that indicates specifically here. Nope, not that one, not that one, not that one. Okay, so this act is hoping to repeal the provision that requires a person's natural death be reasonably foreseeable. That means that their death has to be expected within a certain time frame, like talking weeks, maybe months. Months would be stretching it. So like someone who's dying of a terminal cancer diagnosis, whose projected life span is only like a couple of weeks, and they want to opt for a medically assisted death in order to help their passing be a little bit more comfortable, more dignified, because it can be incredibly painful to die of certain ailments. So it would be, under the previous bill, it would be required that your death be imminent, like be coming up really quickly in order for that to be an issue, or in order for you to be eligible for medical assistance in dying. Currently, another provision that they're hoping to amend is they're trying to like stipulate that a medical condition, or the only medical condition required would be like a mental illness in order to be eligible or not eligible for medical assistance in dying. And what they're trying to do with this bill is to make it so that it will not be the only thing that is making you eligible for assisted death. Sorry, I'm like fumbling all over my words now. So someone with, say, depression would not be able to get an assisted death. You would have to have other contributing factors in order to be considered eligible for a medically assisted death. Now, the other safeguard, oh, right, this is the one that's a little bit iffy for me as someone who actually works in the medical field and who has bore witness to the signing of medical assistance in dying applications. So they are hoping to get rid of the safeguard wherein you require 2 people to be witnesses to the signing of the medical assistance in dying certificate, or application. I know I wrote this out a little bit more clear. I'm kind of fumbling all over the place. Here we go. Let's start from the top. I'm so sorry, I'm messing this up majorly. The first amendment that they're hoping for is to remove the safeguard that addresses that the death has to be reasonably foreseeable. They want to get rid of that. The second clause affirms that mental illness alone is not a suitable reason for MAID. The third, and this is the one where it gets a little bit more iffy for me personally, is to reduce the number of witnesses to just one, down from 2 witnesses, which makes it a little bit, I feel like it makes it a little bit easier to kind of bypass certain things and kind of creates a bit of a loophole. Makes it a little bit iffy, in my opinion. The other safeguard, and this one's, like, it's okay. I feel like we need a little bit of malleability here. Currently, there is a 10-day waiting period from assessment to completion, we'll call it, of a medically assisted death. So you can apply or be assessed for a medically assisted death, but then you have to wait 10 days in order to receive it. Now, there is language in the bill already that allows for doctors to kind of bypass that a little bit. So if someone's in an excruciating, irretractable amount of pain and suffering and their death is imminent, they can absolutely bypass that 10-day waiting period. That's already a thing. It's already in the language. So for them to kind of remove it outright, it's just like, well, why? We don't really need to have it removed. Under Bill C-7, they will waive it altogether, actually, if the death is imminent. If the death is not imminent, then the waiting period will be 90 days. So this 90-day waiting period is if someone with like a mental health issue or someone whose long-term prognosis is long-term and they want an expedited death. But let's say like they have ALS and they have like a year left to live. This bill amendment would require that they have to wait 90 days. Now, like, that kind of makes sense to me, but it also, we're free people. We are individuals, and I feel like we all should have a choice in our pathways, I guess you can call it. So to impose like a 90-day waiting period is, it's iffy. However, on the other side of the spectrum, there are people who think that it's not long enough, and that's fair too. I don't know if you can see here as I'm waving my hands around, my daughter has decorated my arm with stickers. Those are there on purpose. So, If loss of capacity is imminent, the assessing doctor or nurse practitioner, they can waive this 90-day waiting period. And you still require 2 medical professionals, licensed professionals, to be able to waive these waiting periods. So that's what the amendments are about. That's what Bill C-7 is about. Now, what's the issue with this? This is why I wanted to get on the stream and see if I could get anybody else's kind of feedback. What are your thoughts on this? The more I look into this, the more I see that there is a lot of opposition to not necessarily medically assisted dying, MAID, not necessarily MAID, but Bill C-7 specifically. Now, what was I going to say? Medical assistance in dying, administered by a medical practitioner or a nurse practitioner, a substance that does cause death. Yeah. And people, you can administer it to yourself in some areas. Yeah. You have to be, here, I think this stipulation, we should go over what qualifies you for MAID. First, you have to be on the Canadian Healthcare Services program. usually under your specific province or territory of residence. So you have to be covered by healthcare. You have to be 18 years of age or older and capable of making health-related decisions. You must have a grievous and irremediable medical condition, so one that cannot be overcome, one that cannot be fully treated or maintained, I guess. And you must, the request must be voluntary and cannot be coerced. Now, here's my bone that I'm gonna pick, is that when you are being assessed for MAID, you cannot have any mood or mind-altering medications on board. That includes pain medication. So people in excruciating pain have to go 24 plus hours without pain relief. And I know logically that makes a lot of sense, but as someone who has seen people in pain crises, that's so inhumane to me to make that a requirement. Like, there is a way that we can ensure that people have their pain managed while also knowing that we're not altering their mind enough to make this decision not something that they can do. Right? There is a way. But of course, these laws, they come from lawmakers. They don't come from those of us who actually work with these people. So that just, it frustrates me that people have to be in pain in order to obtain a medical service which they are entitled to. I just want to also add that MAID is not something that's just willy-nilly given. MAID is a process. Okay, we don't just take people and offer death as a viable solution. First, we say these are all of the things that we can do for you. These are all of the things that we can provide for you. These are all of the community services that are available to you, and so forth. And once we've exhausted those, then we can talk about MAID. But we're not just going to jump to MAID. That's hopefully ridiculous. And I feel like a lot of people who are opposing MAID feel like that's one of the first things that we jump to. It's just straight to death. That's not how it works. And this is not at all how it works. Those of us, when we're on the front lines, we are not thinking about finances whatsoever. We're not thinking about how your decisions may hold up a hospital bed or something similar like that. We're not thinking about that. We're thinking about you as the individual, you as the person, and what we can do to make your life better, what we can do to help support your health and healing journey. That's it. So it hurts a little bit to see people say that we're just going to come right up and offer MAID just to get you out of the door, so to speak. It's just that ain't it, guys. That's not. Okay. A grievous and irremediable medical condition is qualified as having a serious and incurable illness, disease, or disability. Be in an advanced state of irreversible decline in capability. Have enduring physical and psychological suffering that is intolerable to them and that cannot be relieved under conditions that they consider acceptable, or be in a state in which natural death has become reasonably foreseeable, taking into account all of their medical circumstances, without a prognosis necessarily having been made as to the specific length of time that they have remained. Because we don't always know how long someone's actually going to live. We could give you 2 weeks and you'd be around for 2 months. It's not a science. It's an educated guess. It's always an educated guess, unless MAID is involved. Interruption. What's up?
I did that sound, Mom.
What sound did you make, honey?
I made a fall sound.
A false sound. Did you hurt yourself? Are you okay? Oh my goodness. You're right, though?
I'm not right.
You're not right. Are you wrong?
No. I'm not.
Oh, okay. Hey, if you're going to use that toy, I'm going to ask you politely, please bring it into the living room, okay?
Okay.
Can you close my door on the way out, please?
You want me to close my door?
Because I'm talking. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Parenting win. Okay. So, okay. All of the blah, 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 dry stuff out of the way. Let's get into talking about disabled people. People who are living their lives to the best of their capability in any way that they feel they can. I've come across a few people on YouTube, and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and hop on YouTube and I'm going to show you guys this person's YouTube channel. Oh, here she comes again.
Mama, I need to come in the bathroom.
Okay. No problem. I'll be right there. Accessible Adventures. Go check them out. I'm going to go parent for 5 minutes. Great. I don't know yet, but hold on. Yep.
This my name? Are you this my name?
Is that how old I am? I'm quite a lot older than that. Yeah.
Are you this many mom? Are you this many mom?
I'm more than that. I'm this many, plus 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 that many.
Plus me many and plus me many.
25.
I can do 25 and 20, 30.
Yeah.
These are our letters. This is how pictures.
Nice. Nice. Math lessons. I like it. Okay. What? I start with a J. Thank you very much. Pardon? Keegan. Keegan. Never mind. They're not my business partners anymore. They're fired. Okay, the next thing I was gonna talk about, if I get a moment to, I might not. I might have to quit early, and that's okay. We'll come back to it another day. The next thing, yeah. So, accessible adventurers, and a couple of other people have talked about how what this bill might do is cause more marginalization of people who are living with disabilities. It may increase negative. Oh, I took notes. Sorry. Increase negative ideas and discrimination against people who are living with disabilities. Or that death. It may impose this notion that death is a more desirable outcome than living with disability. They argue that the focus should be directed towards assistance and support to improve the quality of life of those living with disability. And I fully agree that we need more supports in place and more financial support for those who are living with disability. Absolutely. And death is not always the best option here. But what the bill is trying to do is trying to provide an outlet for those who have intractable medical conditions, such as severe chronic pain, ALS, neurocognitive issues that are progressive to the point where people will become an empty shell, and along the way they will lose their ability to be able to apply for and receive medical assistance in dying, because they will no longer be eligible. As their disease progresses, they will no longer be eligible for it, unless this bill were to actually ascend into law. Yeah. But I totally get their point. I do. They feel like one thing that, I forget if it was in his video or if it was in one of his comments that he was responding to this person, accessible adventurers, is that, let's say somebody has a brand new spinal cord injury, okay, and let's say that they are paralyzed, say from the shoulder down, and after 2-3 months of living with it, they decide it's not worth it to live anymore. They could theoretically apply for MAID and might even be eligible for it, and then they might take their life before they get past that trauma, get past the grief that comes with the loss of autonomy that inevitably happens when you're injured to that extreme. And they're arguing that 90 days is not a long enough waiting period for people like that. And the thing with bills like this is that the language of law is almost always open to interpretation. Okay, that's why there's statutory laws in place, because people have altered the language or the perception of language in such a way that they can prove things wrong or prove things right in their favor. But the beauty of this law as it is now is that the medical professionals have power to work it in a way that is best for their clients. And I would hope that doctors and nurse practitioners who are working with spinal cord injury people, just as an example, I would hope that those working with them would not entertain the idea of MAID within the first year or two of a spinal cord injury, because that's definitely not fair. It's not. You can come out of newly acquired disabilities, you can come out of that more positive and more motivated than you were before. It's possible, especially if you have all the supports in place. So I do get their side. I do get it. I get where they're coming from. I was also looking at this case of a man in Chilliwack General Hospital. This was brought to my attention by someone in the comments. I believe the same video I've already referenced. Pardon me. Alan Nichols, a 61-year-old man who was living by himself. He was found dehydrated and malnourished to the point of delirium. And he was slated for MAID. He did end up receiving it. And I feel like this story is missing the other side of the other side. We see what his family says and how they're disappointed that this person received MAID. However, it seems like their disappointment is more targeted at the fact that Alan, the patient, did not want them having access to his medical documents or his medical conditions or anything like that. And the more I read about this case, the more I see that I feel like he actually did have some sort of progressive cognitive disease. Not like a mental illness, or depression technically is a mental illness, but not like a cognitive impairment. They had a psychiatrist and a psychologist both assess him before he was made eligible for MAID. So I don't believe that his cognition wasn't there enough for him to be eligible. Anyway, just there's multiple sides to the story. I'm going to get more into this story for my actual episode for my podcast, which you can find more information about at stepspodcast.com. Yeah, it'll come up. Hopefully in the next couple of days. I'm going to be working my butt off and trying to get it done. Yeah. I wish that there were more people here to have a conversation with you guys, because like this is a hot topic and I'd really like to understand. I want to understand both sides of the equation here, and I feel like it's important that those opposing it are heard and those who are for it are heard. Having an open mind is a blessing. Anyway, if you have made it this far, thank you very much for listening. I hope you will tune in to the next podcast episode, which is due to come out tomorrow. It probably won't get it out until 11:59, but trust me, I am working my butt off trying to get it up there. Okay? So if you are not subscribed yet, go ahead and, if you're interested, no pressure, hit that subscribe button on my YouTube channel here. I also put it up on SoundCloud. And yeah, you can check me out at stepspodcast.com for more information. stepspodcast.com. It's there I will link certain things, like links to this bill, links to articles I found interesting, and just a general write-up of what we've talked about today. Thanks again for joining me. Have a great night.